This is huge. In Luke chapter 6, there's three main points I want to make in this beautiful, wonderful chapter. One is that Jesus puts people over days and over kind of arbitrary rules. These rules aren't rules of sin. They're just rules to be rules. It's not like don't hurt anybody, cheat, lie. It's just like, hey, on this day, don't do something. And he says, listen, I got to get this straight here. And then about judging others and fruits. So let's start with rules. It opens up in chapter 6 where they're condemning Jesus for feeding his people on the Sabbath. So the Sabbath means the seventh day. In America, our Sabbath is Saturday because our first day is Sunday. Now, in other places like France, they start their days on Monday, so their Sabbath, their seventh day, is Sunday. The Jews believe that you shouldn't work on the Sabbath day or the seventh day, and if you did, you'd get stoned. Well, they were angry at Jesus, saying, why did you let your people eat and work on the Sabbath? And they weren't doing like heavy work and work for pay. They just went out in the field and basically picked some fruit or some food off the vine and just ate it. And they considered that work. That's why no one today keeps the Sabbath, nobody. Because if you were just to go turn on your microwave, you've broken the Sabbath. If you put gas in your car, you've broken the Sabbath. If you stopped and paid somebody for something, like you got fast food, you've broken the Sabbath. So nobody today keeps the Sabbath. Now, that's no reason to sin because other people are sinning if you thought that was a sin. But no one keeps the Sabbath. And Jesus himself said, isn't it good to do good things on the Sabbath? And he says, listen, Sabbath wasn't made for man, or man wasn't made for the Sabbath was made for man. So basically saying it's not a sin to work on the Sabbath, to do things on the Sabbath. Another thing, as you read on, and there's a lot here in chapter 6, but he talks about judging others. Now, a lot of us heard that saying, don't judge others, judge and you'll be judged. God means it, but he doesn't mean it probably like most people think. He's saying not to judge people's sin. He's saying not to judge people, which means don't look at somebody and say, oh, you're going to heaven. Or don't look at someone and say, oh, you're going to hell. The Bible says God's grace is sufficient. He can decide who's going to heaven and hell. We can't. So don't say someone's going to heaven. Don't say someone's going to hell. He says, but you can judge sin because you're supposed to love people, good and bad. The Bible says love your enemies. It says this here. So we should love all people. Now, if someone's in sin, they're doing something that God considers evil. If you love them, you'll come to them like you would your mother, your brother, or anyone else you love that was doing something bad. And you say, hey, I love you, but this is bad. It could send you to jail, or it could send you to hurt you, or it could send you, put you in outs with God. I love you. Let me help you get this thing right. If they were on drugs, you might send them to rehab. If they were having a bad marriage, you might send them to marriage counseling, right? Doing something that would jeopardize their soul, send them to church. We'll go with them to church. Pray with them, walk with them through it. He's saying, love the person, good or bad. Whatever you think they are, love them. And in the process, if they're doing something sinful, walk with them in that. Lastly, he talks about a tree and its fruits. He says, listen, if you're a good tree, a truly good tree, then you can't produce bad fruit. He means good people don't do, make bad fruit. They aren't out there doing bad things. And he says bad people aren't out there just doing great things and improving, the world in a humanitarian effort. He says, if you really want to know somebody, just look at their fruit, the fruit of their life, the fruit that they're producing, and you'll know them. Listen, chapter 6 is jam-packed with a lot of stuff. I love you. God bless you. And read chapter 6 and comment below what you got out of it.